Previously on Avatar.
Do not make shaders for your game. No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. Stop it, roll. Dishy dissolve effect. Boom, 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 beep, 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 beep. Rest in peace, roll. Apart from anime, I also love syncing by adding some little details onto it. Oh no. I forgot about shaders. Well, easy peasy lemon squeezy. What can go wrong? So, the final step on how to improve the visuals for my game should have been using shaders for ripple effect. Don't confuse with nipples, by the way. So, why ripple? I absolutely adore this fight from the Man of Steel where they just beat the crap out of each other. You ask, so what? Basically, I shared this unimportant detail only to show you this dishy ripple effect when they hit each other. Just look at the way of the impact, it's so high, like almost as high as something that is considered high. 3? Anyway, I thought it's not gonna be a challenge, you know, I've already made a couple of effects in the previous video by playing with the shader graph, creating a material out of the shader and then changing the properties of the shader through code. I wasn't fully sure of what I was doing, honestly, like, is he even fine? It was only half an hour later when I decided to test the shader and realized that camera doesn't have the material like all the other objects. I was so sad, like the person who just became sad. Out of curiosity, however, I have applied my shader to all of the floor tiles and wow, it looks kinda amazing! Even better than my own animation of toilet flush. So cruel. I like it. Then I've decided to dedicate a few hours to find a free example of a ripple effect shader and that was easy. I didn't want to blindly replicate other shaders and that's why it was about time to return to Tutorial Island once again. I've watched Unity's official shader series, random courses like that one, as well as other videos on shader graph again. I have no idea why though. Finally, I was lucky enough to find a tutorial for a simple ripple effect in one of the blocks on 1x1 design. Ooh, let's do it again! Ooh. By the way, if you are new like me, let me explain. Shaders are scripts that execute some calculations to understand how to render each pixel's color and position on your screen. To make these manipulations, Unity uses NVIDIA's CG programming language. It comes down mostly to these two functions, vert and frag, which stand for vertex and fragment. Imagine you have a roll, don't ask me who gave you a roll, just imagine. The vert function manipulates the vertices of your roll, which are basically the corner points of the shape. Then comes the order of the frag function that is responsible for showing the pixels between these vertices. Those pixels are calculated by interpolating the values of vertices between them. In other words, if you don't know what interpolation is, if you have a gradient shader, instead of remembering each pixel's value, it smoothly shifts the value of one corner to the value of another. The final image is calculated and is then displayed on your screen. At least that's how I understood that, and considering that I'm dumb and can be mistaken... Anyway, none of that helped me with the problem. Nothing was working. But then I read on the forum that onRenderImage function, which should be called during the rendering of the final image, is not working anymore in Unity's new render pipelines. And guess what? We just switched to universal render pipeline in the last video, the one which is said to have a friendly workflow, easier and quicker. Why nobody told me about that? Oh, wait, an updated version? URP uses HLSL, not CG language? Basically, I found out that actually Unity's new scriptable render pipelines use the HLSL language, and CG doesn't work with them anymore. So I've tried to transform my current CG code into HLSL, but apparently Unity forgot some of its features and functions, otherwise I can't explain why I had so many unrecognized identified errors. So I started from scratch, but this time following this updated tutorial. Alright, it's the last step. I just need to install the post-processing package and create the C# wrapper. Turned out that PPA post-processing package can be used with URP because URP has its own built-in PP version, so this code doesn't work anymore. I'm done. Shader Tensei.